I think it's important also to recognize that not only has the country needed foreign workers to this day, but that it will need even more so in the future.
Yet, the major complaint is that the undocumented are taking jobs away from the American population. But Edward Garcia from the Congreso de Latinos Unidos doesn't agree with that concept.
There are lots and lots of places that need immigrant labor. As a matter of fact, there's an immigrant labor shortage in a lot of the agricultural industries in Pennsylvania. There was a recent story about a tomato farmer who had to switch from tomatoes to a less labor-intensive crop because he just couldn't find people to pick the tomatoes.
He actually goes further into the actual contribution of undocumented immigrants to the local economy.
Study after study has shown that they give back to the community just as much as they receive, and a lot of times even more so because they're living and working in the same community. They're bringing money back into the economy, and also they're paying taxes. A lot of what misperception is that immigrants kind of do everything under the table, and a lot of immigrants get the tax ID in order to pay taxes on Social Security and the rest of it, even though they don't get Social Security.
But with rising anti-immigration laws and the continuous raids, these immigrants are now living in fear and not getting as involved in their communities.
We have the fear factor in our communities that's affecting us so much, because we see people being so afraid of deportation, being so afraid of the 287G, and they're not engaging, they staying at home.
And their decision to remain home, or in many cases, go back to their country, is being felt by the local businesses. Fernando Correa is the manager for a local restaurant in North Carolina, where customers are slowly disappearing.
The immigration issue is affecting all of us in the Latino population, especially us, as a Hispanic restaurant targeted to the community, and obviously people are scared to go out, they are scared to consume.
And for business owners Fausta Salvatierra, the situation is not much better.
Many customers have left, so the business has declined a lot.
So are the undocumented immigrants abhorrent to the local economies, or a necessary component with a lot to contribute in this time of crisis?
Miguel, one of the theories earlier in the debate was that if you make things unpleasant enough for immigrants, they'll send themselves home. Is it working?
Of course. Exactly. Well, what happens is that it's a strategy. It's a conspiracy, by the way. It has developed in a conspiracy, especially in many cities where there is a lot of uneducated or at least misinformed people about what exactly is the benefits of having an immigrant community. But in cities like Miami, New York, San Francisco, and where there is a more sympathetic scenario to the immigrant community, I can tell you from the church's perspective, we have seen 7-8% growth. We know it's not exactly people who are coming from other countries exactly. It's just that they're moving from other states, because definitely they cannot.
So from less hospitable states to
exactly.
more hospitable environments.
Exactly.
But are people sending themselves home?
It's about economics. I think that anti-immigrant groups who had been pushing for these deportation and punitive strategies try to use this as proof points that people are leaving or they're shifting from this state to another. The reality is that the first and foremost factor here is the economy. We know that immigrants come drawn by opportunity and jobs. When the jobs dry up, they're going to either go to other places where there are job opportunities, or they're going to look what they can do about that.
But if things become more unpleasant in a place like South Carolina, with one of the highest unemployment rates in the country, are they more likely to go back to Guatemala or go to Charlotte, where there's a better local economy?
Well, one of the things that always has seemed illogical to me about this whole notion that if you make things unpleasant, they'll leave, is that for one thing, we all live in those communities. So that means if we kill opportunity for everybody, then they'll leave. Well, who wants to live in that place? But number two, the other thing is that we are seeing folks with an entrepreneurial spirit that in many cases were willing to risk their life to try to make a better life for themselves. And so we're saying, oh, we're just going to make it a little tough, so you leave. Folks risk their life to come to this country and try to make that opportunity. So to say that, it just doesn't make sense.
What are some of the halfway measures that are available? If comprehensive immigration reform doesn't happen this Congress, if it's not introduced after the 100 days or during calendar 09, are there things on the docket? Are there ideas? Are there measures that can solve some of the current and pressing problems, recognizing that comprehensive reform is just too much of a heavy lift in the near term? Michelle?
Well, I think that one thing Congress really needs to do is look at all of the money that they've been spending on these deportation-only measures. We have spent hundreds of billions of dollars along the border and on interior enforcement, and we know that the number of undocumented immigrants has continued to increase despite the fact that we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars. I think it's time to take a step back and say, is this cost effective in this particular economy? Is this the way that we want to be spending our money?